Since I've been, hold on a second. Since I've been the brunt of trolling, and I don't normally curse on my show, but excuse me, I got to be honest with you, I don't give a flying fuck. And I'm saying it again. I don't give a flying fuck who trolls me. All right? Trust me, it does not. I don't know what you're trying to get out of it, but whatever you're trying to get out of it, if you're trying to make me annoyed, you're not making me annoyed. You're not doing anything. Because, all I have to do is that. And I'm gone. I'm gone off YouTube. Hi, Nancy. How are you? I'm gone. And I walk away. Simple as that. Simple as that. So, if you want to kid around and waste your time and make accounts on me with different pictures and trolling me, what could I tell you? have fun. But if you got nothing better to do, what could I tell you? But it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. I'm serious. So I don't know what the reasoning is behind it. I guess it's to annoy people or to spoof on them. But I've reached celebrity status now. Hello, Benny. How are you? Good evening. Thank you for joining me, Nancy, Mom, Spencer. I decided to jump on and do a show. Oh, trolling is trolling. It's a thing that happens on YouTube and happens to a lot of people. So it happened to me. So who gives a shit? Really? If you got nothing better to do than to make an account, set up an account, and take my picture and troll me, and put different names, man, go ahead, be my guest. What could I say? Hello, Arms. Good evening. So that's one thing. So like I said, we've been talking, a lot of the content creators have been talking about food. And our shows really haven't been really that serious the last couple of days. A lot of joking and kidding around, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. I mean, we want our listeners to have a good time and to joke around and kind of escape from reality, And hi, Don. How are you? Good to see you, buddy. Show number 1, 2, 3, 4. Since his return. Yes. I'm holding all kinds of records. I hold the record for doing the most live testing and a couple other records that go along with that. Listen, I always say this. I must have said this at least 14 or 15 times already. You got to be able to have fun. If you can't crack up and crack on each other and joke with each other and have fun, have a couple of laughs, I mean, what's the sense? I mean, you can't be serious all the time. Life is too short, man. Life is too short. There's a time and place to be serious, and when to be serious and when to joke around. And when you have to be serious, you're serious. But for the most part, me, myself, I joke and kid around all day long. I laugh all day long. And laughing relieves stress, believe it or not, if you don't know that. It relieves stress. So why walk around with a puss on your face? I mean, life is hard enough. And it's too short. You got to have fun. And so that's what we've been doing the last couple of days. And the last week and a half, the last 2 weeks is having fun on these shows. Us being on the panels and just doing different things. And, of course, we don't want it to get out of hand. But there's a point where you don't want to cross the line. But there's nothing wrong with that. You have to be able to take a joke. If you're going to dish it out, you have to be able to take it. Is what I always say. I'm sorry, guys. I'm drinking my coffee. I didn't want to. I wanted to be off screen while I was drinking coffee. But so I don't really. I really don't have a topic, believe it or not, on my live show at home. Just basic chit chat. What's been going on during the week and going on with the different shows. And I know that I went into one show. Was it yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday. Now, I went, but I had no idea. I went into the show late, and I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about. And I dropped my link and said, all are welcome, to come over to my show if you want. But I had no idea what they were talking about. Prior to me coming on, they were talking about some really, really out of the way things. Had I known that, I wouldn't have dropped my link in there. And I don't, one content creator, saw me in there along with somebody else, and he said, "What the hell is Ralph doing in there?" But I figured I'd go in there and check out the show. In fact, that content creator is a listener of mine and a listener of a couple other shows. Hi, Adam. How are you, buddy? Excuse me. Good to see you. Good to see everybody. See, I got 8 people in the chat. This is like the spur of the moment thing. I didn't plan this. I figured I'd just jump on. But anyway, I made the mistake of going into the show without knowing what the subject matter was, and I ended up dropping my link. So, and then of course Anthony the Wine Guild is blasting me for saying, "Oh, Ralph, you don't want to get trolled, but that's a good way to get trolled." Anthony, who gives a shit? I don't care. I couldn't type fast enough by telling him, "Who gives a shit?" It's going to happen. It's going to happen. All kinds of things happen on YouTube. You know that. All kinds of crazy things. There's all kinds of crazy people. All kinds of crazy things happen on YouTube. And I'm used to it by now. I'm doing this 6 months. It was yesterday. So I'm not really a virgin anymore. I'm not really that green anymore. So I know. But I'm still learning. I'm still learning. I got my concierge who's constantly advising me. Do I listen to him? No. No. That's what a concierge is for. You're supposed to listen to him and take advice. But does Ralph listen to him? No. Because Ralph wants to do what Ralph wants to do. And I've always been that way. Yes, these other shows are full of drama, Benny. It amazes me, and I've said this before, it amazes me that how people can be drawn into them, and you have to ask yourself, what kind of people are listening to these shows? What are they like that are listening to the shows, that are drawn to these shows? Now look, everybody has their own format. Everybody has their own way and subject matter that they want to cover. Nobody could tell anybody what to do and what not to do. That's their choice to do that. If that's what they choose to do, that's what they choose to do. There's many reasons why people do the things that they do, the content creators do the things that they do. It could be for a number of reasons. Me particularly, I don't care for those shows. I don't care for the yelling and screaming and the cursing and the abusing people and doxing people, if you want to call it that. That's the word. That's not me. I won't do that. So you'll never see that on my show. I won't put up with that. You'll be right out the door. I'm not as tolerant as other people. I have no patience for that. On YouTube or off of YouTube. It's just my personality. I don't put up with it. And the other content creators agree with me. It's funny that we all agree on the same thing. Nobody wants it. Can you imagine, and I know there's listeners that listen to Tommy Stiggs, and I mentioned this before, and I even talked to him about it. Can you imagine getting up 7 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and tuning on YouTube onto Tommy Stiggs' show at 7 o'clock in the morning when you first wake up? You haven't even had your sip of coffee yet, or maybe you're just going to take your first sip, and see nothing but yelling and screaming and cursing and fighting, and this one badgering this one, and he's badgering somebody else. Can you imagine that? That'll never happen. I know that'll never happen, but I'm just saying, can you imagine that? At 7 o'clock in the morning, I could never deal with that. I could never deal with that. So, Benny, you're right. I mean, I agree with you. You just have to pick and choose, I guess, what shows you listen to. Our shows, how could I word this? Our shows are on a much, much calmer level. Today, Todd Father had a very good show. There was no horse playing around. It was a serious show, talking about different things about air fryers and cooking and just different things. It was a serious show, and it was a very, calm, relaxed show. Tommy Stiggs has a very calm and relaxed show in the morning. Very laid back show. Great show to wake up in the morning. I always say that, Before I started watching Stiggs' morning show, I would watch TV. But now I tune into Tommy every morning. Because it's got to be a habit, and it's a very relaxed show. My Car Lives, which I'm not, I've got to liking them, but I'm still not crazy about them because it's just me. But my listeners like that. Some of my listeners like that. How interesting can I be with the camera facing me in the back seat in the backdrop, But some of my listeners like that, so I've got some time, so I do that. Dean Do Show at 2:30. Dean Do Show is his show is kind of relaxed too. So I mean, and his show is like on the fly, like Tommy's show is. So you have all these. Oh, of course I don't want to forget Anthony. Now Anthony is on Anthony's wine tasting show is very good, and you got Vinny, who is very intelligent, who has a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas. His show is very good. I'm sure that some of you people are subscribed to his show, and if you haven't, you should. But Anthony, getting back to Anthony's show is relaxed, talking about wine, and there has been some horseplay on our parts in his show the last couple of shows, but it's all in fun. It's all in fun, Maybe 15 minutes of the show was serious, and then the rest was like joking around and kidding around. But like I said, hi Patty, how are you? Hello Patricia. Why do I have two cars? Why do I have two cars? Wait a minute. Did I say I had two cars? I do have two cars. How do you know that? My God. How do you know that? I do have two cars. One is almost an antique. It's a 2001 Buick Century, and it's wrapped up. It's in mint condition. Tommy will tell you. Tommy loves my car. It's a 2001 Buick Century, and it's wrapped. I don't drive it in the winter. I only take it out when the weather's nice, only on the weekends. I did tell you. I got it. You know what? I am getting forgetful. I'm getting forgetful, and I'm starting to worry about it because I'm going to have to take some Jacoca, whatever you call that. I'm getting very forgetful. Not very forgetful, but I'm forgetting the things that I say. I have to stop and think about it. But yeah, I do have two cars. One of them is almost going to be in the process of being an antique. It's a beautiful car. I mean, it came from Maryland. It was a one owner, and it was a woman that owned it. She passed away, and it was brought up to Jersey by a friend of mine who owns a car lot. So my friend called me up, and he said to me, Ralph, he says, you have to come down and look at this car. It's a Buick Century. I said, no, I don't know. I had a Buick Century at that time, the same car, but a year, it was a 2000. So I said to him, Mike, I says, I don't want it. I don't want the same car again. He says, Ralph, you got to come up and see this car, though. I said, all right. So I went up to the lot. I looked at the car, and my mouth dropped. It was like in pristine condition. And I only bought it 3 years ago. So I said to him, Mike, what do you want for this? He says, give me $1,800 for it. I said, Mike, I can't do $1,800. Now at that time was when they were giving out the checks for the coronavirus, the $1,200 checks. So I said, Mike, I can't do $1,800. I says, I can do $15. So he was hemming and hawing, and now the car was immaculate. In and out, not a scratch on it, not a dent, nothing. No rust, because in Maryland, they don't use salt on the roads. So there was no rust, and the car was already over 18 years old. She says, all right, give me $1,500. So I took the $1,200 check that I got from the government and I put $300 of my own money, and I bought the car. I bought the car cash. And it is the best thing that I ever did, because he hates me now, because when he sees the car, he goes, man, I got screwed, because it's in beautiful condition. And Tommy will tell you, so I jazzed it up a little bit. I put kind of like spoke wheels on it. I put white walls on it, and I upgraded the radio. I took the original radio out, but I still have the original radio put away, case I ever have to put it back in. And I upgraded it to modern radio with Bluetooth and CD player and like cell phone calls. So that's what I did. So yeah, I do have 2 cars, but that one, like I said, that one I only drive. It's wrapped up, and I only take it out in the spring and the summer when it's nice weather, and only on the weekends. And I get so many people that want to buy it, and I just will not sell it. But I do remember saying that I had 2 cars. Yeah, right. Mileage I have on it is 71,000 miles. 71,000 miles. And of course I have it serviced. I had it serviced before. Everything checked out, the radiator, the fluids changed, and the transmission changed and all that. So, I tell you one thing, when you ride this car, it's like riding in an airplane. It rides just as good as a Cadillac. Really, it's amazing. So 71,000 miles for a car that's a 2001. So what does that make that? Going to be 21 years old. Wait, 2001, 11, 21, 12, 20, 21, 22 years old, something like that. I'm not doing the math now. Yeah, it's wrapped up. I bought a special cover for it, a car cover that wraps the car completely and it entombs the car. It's this very special cover that I bought, which is, weather resistant. And I do start the car up occasionally in the winter and let it run a little bit, just to keep everything running. But that's what I mean by wrapping up. Wrapping up means I had to buy a special cover for it. So you're 22 years old. Thanks, Don. I'm in no mood to do math right now. So yeah, that's my baby. I think I posted a picture. Wait a minute, I posted a picture on my channel, in the community channel. Yeah, I posted a picture in my community section of my channel with me standing in front of the car with a cup of coffee, so you can see the car there. But I put white walls on it. Nobody has white walls. Nobody has white walls. I mean, people do have white walls, but nobody I've seen has white walls. You see, white walls and the spoke wheels make the car even more fancier. And you can still get white walls. You're still able to obtain them. And the reason why I put the white walls on the car is because everything is black walls, right? I put the white walls on the car because I'm old school. I love white walls. I hate black walls on cars. I hate it. Nancy, are you asking me how much a catalytic is worth? It's worth about the catalytic. You know what? Let me just tell you something. I have to have a catalytic converter put in there to upgrade it. And when they take the catalytic converter out, it costs about $800 to put a new catalytic converter in there. But when they take the old catalytic converter out, I'm getting it because I'm selling it. Because there's I forgot the metal that's in the catalytic converter, titanium. I forgot what it is. Anyway, on the market, they can get like $1,200 to $1,400 for it. Me, I'll get like $400 for it. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny you should ask that. We need your address. Screw you. I'm not giving you no address, Gerard. 1313 Mockingbird Lane. But anyway, that's a little history about my cars. I mean, I didn't really anticipate on buying that car. And I almost didn't go up and look at it. And believe me, when I first saw it, I wasn't crazy about the color. I was having it on. And then the color just grew on me. And, I'm looking at the body. I'm saying, oh my God, there's not an ounce of rust on it anywhere. And the interior is immaculate. Like I said, did this lady drive this car? Because it was sitting in her garage for a while. And, I just lucked out. I always liked antique cars. The first car I had was my very first car that I bought. My very first car was a 68 Lincoln with the suicide doors. And I bought it in 1978. And I bought it from an African-American guy, and I paid $1,200 for it. I took a loan out and paid the car off. But the car was in mint condition. It was huge. I think I talked about this earlier on my car life. I could actually lay comfortably in the back seat of the car. That's how wide it was. And it was in almost mint condition. What happened was it was parked in front of my girlfriend's house one night, and this kid who was drunk driving a van totaled the whole side of it. My girlfriend's mother's car hit her car and hit her father's car. So he wiped 3 cars out. So I had to get rid of it. I was really sick over that. But what are you gonna do? You're right about the salt route. Yeah, it kills a car, Benny. Salt is treacherous on a car. That's where you get your rust from. And it goes underneath the undercarriage and everything. And like I said, they don't use it in Maryland. That's why you got a car that's like, at that time when I bought it, was like 18 years old. Not a speck of rust anywhere. Not under the hood, nowhere. And I went through the car with a fine tooth. And I said, Ralph, you're going to be an asshole if you don't buy this car. So like I said, I took the $1,200 stimulus check, right? And I put $300 of my own into it, and I got the car cash. You couldn't ask for a better deal. And now the guy, my friend, every time I bring the car up to him, because I occasionally check his lot, I pull in with that car, he gets so pissed. He goes, man, and I get screwed. He goes, man, you got a cream puff here. What was I thinking? I said, Mike, you want to buy it back for me? Because I get offers on it all the time when it's on the street. But I won't sell it. I won't sell it. So let me see who's in the chat real quick. Say hello. Gerard is here. Hi, Gerard. Benny, I said hello to arm's distance. Don is here. Benny's here. Nancy's here. Joey Melrose, how are you, buddy? Joey's here. Adam is here. Patty's here. Patricia. Evan, how are you, Evan? Evan's here. So I got 14 people in the chat and whoever's watching. But yeah, that's the story of my car. Patricia, God, you got a good memory. It's funny. Mama Four Boys is here. I said hello. It's funny because you guys as listeners, man, you guys are so perceptive. I mean, so, what's the word I want to use? Like, so on the ball. I'm saying you scrutinize everything. You remember everything. I didn't even remember that I mentioned anything about my car. And I always say this, that the listeners perceive the host and the content creator differently than the content creator does. So I may be saying things and, not really being cognizant of what I'm saying. And then, you'll listen, you'll hear that and then remember that, what I'm saying? But you remember everything. You're just like in tune. Which means you're paying attention, really. That's the bottom line. Hi, Gina, how are you? Long time no see. So, yeah, you know what? Let me just turn this light on real quick. Like I said, anybody who wants to come on, they're more than welcome to come on. I dropped a link in the beginning of the show. Yeah, Gina, I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while, Gina. I know you've been busy. It's always good to see you. Dean's not around. Tommy's not around. I guess they're busy. Or maybe they're listening. Who knows? Anthony's not around. But don't forget, Anthony has a wine tasting test tomorrow. In fact, I asked him. I asked Anthony. Because I'm going to be on the... I asked Anthony to cash out me the money for the wine. And I told him today earlier that my status is now increased because of all these trolls that I have. My status is now increased to YouTube celebrity status. So now I'm not going to be on any panels or any shows as a guest unless I'm compensated for it because I have this celebrity status now. So that's a story. So I asked him to cash out me the money for the wine and give me a compensation for being a guest on his panel. He told me to go scratch. But I was only kidding, though. I'm only kidding like that. But yeah, he's having a show tomorrow night. I don't know if, you know what, I got to ask him what kind of wine it is. I don't know if it's red or white because I don't really drink white wine. And NB, Lauren, I think she was saying she might stop in and maybe possibly be a guest. Maybe I misunderstood her. But it's always good to have a woman on the panel. Like JJ Fedora was on his show very quickly, on Anthony's show last Wednesday, but very quickly for a couple minutes. And it's nice to have a woman on the panel. How could I word this? A woman adds a little class to the panel. Not that the guys are not classy, or I'm saying, I'm not putting the guys down. I'm just saying it's nice to have a woman on the panel. It's always good to see a woman on. Come on, it's always good to see a woman on the show. Oh, you're welcome, Gina. You're welcome. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a little while, Gina. I know you're busy. I know you're tied up with different things. We have lives over YouTube. And like Sons the other day yesterday was supposed to go on Thinder's show, but never made it because some things came up. So we understand that. Everybody has something to do. When you get a chance, you come on, or you watch the replay, whenever, whatever. I mean, we have lives off of YouTube, and they joke and kid around that, YouTube is second. People are joking around that I'm on YouTube a lot. I'm really not. Or maybe lately, the last couple of days. Maybe I am on the line. I just don't realize it, But who cares, It kicked you off. Yeah, the last couple of days have been, I know a lot of you guys have been watching the same shows, Thinder's show and Anthony's show and Stiggs' show. Did I go on Stiggs' show this morning? I don't even remember. Chicken lips. Oh my God, you're getting very old. We all are, buddy. We're all getting old. Who gives a shit? You know what? Chicken lips, it's only a fucking number. Excuse my language, and I very rarely curse. It's only a fucking number, don't mean anything. I can do the same shit that I did when I was 30, and that's no joke. One day I may wake up and not be able to do anything. But it's just a number, and it's how you feel mentally and how you feel physically. I don't know yet, Nancy. I don't have one. I don't have a topic around that. Maybe it'll be just basic chit chat. I don't know. I don't know yet. Chicken lips. Now, chicken lips, I've never seen you before. You could be a troll. So let me just ask you this. I don't remember seeing you in any of my shows. So how did you find out about the Wise Up Show? Where do you come from? And how did you find out about me? Look, I want to tell you something, guys. In all seriousness now, I can't tell a content creator what to talk about. But there's one thing that bothers me, right? And I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm not putting anybody down. I want you to understand that. This is me alone that bothers me. I don't like, first of all, there's plenty of this on Facebook. Every time I go on Facebook, I'm reading about, Facebook has gotten to be like an obituary. Every time I go on Facebook, I'm seeing somebody dying or has died. Now, I understand that these are everyday topics and it's a part of life. I understand that. But I'm going to make sure I word this delicately because I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. Why talk about cancer in your show? Why talk about things that are health issues in your show? We all are aware of our health problems and the health problems that are out there and about cancer and all that stuff. And, you know what I'm saying? It brings the show down. Yes, it is a part of life. And it's a very real part of life. But why incorporate that in your show? And I know sometimes the content creators don't do that on purpose because it's what they're reading off of the chat, which brings up the conversation. But those are such downers. You know, those are such downers. And again, I am not putting anybody down. This is just my opinion. I guess when you get to be a certain age, you have to expect these things to happen. You know, when you reach a certain age, that people are die, that people have illnesses, that they have cancer, that this and that, arthritis, and all kinds of ailments. But like I said, I go on Facebook, and I've been staying off of Facebook. I haven't even been on there that much, and it's gotten to be like an obituary. It really has. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me just read. That's a very good point, Tommy. Okay, I didn't think about that. That's an excellent point what Tommy just said. If a show talks about something we don't like, we can just leave if we don't like the topic. Right. Okay, that's a good point. It may actually help some to talk about these things. Good point, Tom. I didn't think about that. That's why you're my concierge, which I don't listen to. But that's a very good point, though. Point well taken. I didn't think about that. Sometimes you need people to say things like what Tommy just said to make you realize other things that you're missing. And he's got a good point there. I didn't realize that. Kind of like a group therapy thing. And he's got a good point. If you don't like the topic, leave. He's got a good point. But listen, I stand corrected. I stand corrected. Yeah, The Irishman. The Irishman is an excellent movie. Really, really good movie. I mean, very good movie. Evan, where does Evan? Wait a minute, hold on a second. Let me just read this real quick. The Drop is such a good movie, very unrated, good choice. The Drop I've never seen. I'll check that out. Say, Gina? Okay, right. Good point, Tom. Good point, T. Sometimes people need to talk about something with strangers and it helps them. Okay? That's true. It's kind of like a group therapy thing. That's what it really is. I didn't see it that way. But now that Stiggs has mentioned it and Gina agrees, because I see a different point of that now. That's why you have to have an open mind. So those are two very good things that Tommy had mentioned that I wasn't looking at. And sometimes you need people to say things like that to make you realize other reasons. So it's on Netflix, Tom? Okay, I gotta watch that. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're right. Communication is what we do. You're right. Hey, listen, I'm not. I make mistakes. I'm only human. And you learn by your mistakes. You learn by your mistakes. So, like I said, if I'm wrong, I'm the first one to say, I'm wrong and say, well, okay, I stand corrected, and I'm not ever afraid to admit that I'm wrong. That's one thing that I'm not afraid to admit is that I'm wrong, or if I have to apologize. And some people can't do that. Some people cannot apologize or admit that they're wrong, because if they apologize, they're admitting that they're wrong, and they don't like to admit that they're wrong. And that's not the way to be. The right thing to do is that if you made a mistake, realize what your mistake is, and don't do it again, because then you haven't learned anything from your mistake. So we're only human. So yeah, that's true, Gina. Doing right or wrong. I can also understand why you wouldn't want to talk about something because you need a diversion. Yeah, but I think you're right. But I think Sticks brought out a very good point, and that some people that are on the shows need to talk about certain things, and certainly a content creator is not going to cut them off, or shouldn't cut them off if they have something like that to talk about, because Stiggs is right. It is about communication. Somebody may come into the chat and be feeling really bad and want to discuss something with strangers and bring it up, because it may be bothering them. So, it's a very good point. And I don't see that happening. I don't see any of the listeners, being cut off, because I know the content creators, that I'm associated with would do something like that. I certainly wouldn't do something like that. If somebody came on my show and had a problem and wanted to discuss it, I'm certainly not going to cut them off. That's not going to make me look very good either. So I like I said, I'm always, I've said this time and time again, I'm always open for suggestions, especially from the listeners, because they're our listeners. But I agree with them. So YouTube, Evan is saying that YouTube has a software that picks up certain keywords, keystrokes, and watch history. When you view a video, you leave a footprint. There's a lot of truth to that, Evan. There's a lot of truth to that. That's why all the things that we've been saying on the shows, and we're getting different things in our news feeds that are being picked up with saying, what is being said in our shows. All these crazy things on the news feed. I got one the other day of a midget on a go-go dance pole. A midget on a go-go dance pole. Yeah, she was like maybe 3 feet tall. So I've been getting some weird stuff too, but I just haven't mentioned it. I just, scroll through. I just scroll up, and that's it. What? Hold on a second. Oh, Todd Father's here. Oh, here we go. Listen, any of you guys want to jump on? I got the clip. The link. Well, what do you, if you don't say midget, what do you say, Patricia? I only know what's the word that you use? I only know is it a midget. What could I use? What's another word that I could use? Handicapped? Handicapped? You tell me, because I only know one word. Midget does sound kind of harsh when you think about it. You're right. He's a midget. She's a midget. I mean, that's something that I grew up with, which little people, the little people that were Wizard of Oz, all the little people, all the munchkins. What do I call them? Munchkins? What do I call them? Weepies? I mean, I know they're not they're handicapped if they're little, right? That's a handicap. They're not of regular size, so they're handicapped in the sense that they're not the height that they should be. I mean, they can do everything else that we can do, almost, right? Because of their size. Munchkins, garden gnomes. I mean, those are kind of harsh words. I mean, I'm not going to call somebody a garden gnome or a munchkin. Little people. Little People reminds me of the show back in the 60s, The Land of the Giants. The people that were in the land of the giants were known as little people. Munchkins? Gianni, you just got to get on the ball, buddy. You weren't the first in the parlor tonight. I sent out actually, Gianni, what I do is I sent out a notification for 7:30, and I started like, I don't know, maybe 10 after 7. I started early. I said to Howard, I'm going to go on early. Whoever comes in, you know. You're in between 2 shows here, Tom, but who else are you watching? I've done that. I've been in between 2 shows. Now, you're not getting rusty. I mean, you've been away for a while. So now you're getting, Johnny, now you've gotten back into the swing of things. Getting back into the swing of things. You know? Your day starts early on your job. So, you know, I mean, so you're not rusty, believe me. 2 YouTube shows and The Irishman. Oh my God, you are crazy. Yeah, The Irishman is a good movie. After the show, I just may go and watch that again. It's not Sasquatch, it's Seth, S-E-T-H, Seth Squatch. He is one of my listeners. He's been on Todd Father's show. He has his own channel. And I went into his show yesterday, and I went in kind of late, and I didn't realize what the topics were. It was the first time I ever went in his show. I didn't know anything about him really. And I happened to drop my link of my show into his chat. And Anthony had made a remark, "Oh, Ralph, you don't want to get trolled, but that's a good way to get trolled." Like I said, who gives excuse my language, who fucking cares, really? Come on. But that's who Seth Squatch is. His show is how can I explain it? I'm just not gonna. Listen, if you want, check him out. What could I say? I mean, that's that. Yeah, I was, the special effects in The Irishman. I mean, some of them were all right. Some of them were not all right. I mean, the movie itself overall was I thought was good. Everybody has their own opinion, but I thought it was okay. I'd watch it again. It's worth watching twice. That'll probably be the last movie. If I was to take an educated guess, that would probably be the last movie that you'll see Joe Pesci in, unless you get some kind of fantastic script or an astronomical amount of money to do another movie, because he's basically retired and he wants to play golf. He wants to enjoy himself, and he wants to play golf. He doesn't need the money. I think Joe Pesci is a very good actor. He incorporates a lot of his characters, what he grew up in the environment of Belleville and Newark, by his facial expressions and the way he carries himself. So he's incorporated that a lot into his characters that he portrays, which is good. Gianni's doing a TV series? Really? Pesky or something? That's great. He's actually very funny. I met him, I don't know, I'm going to say about 5 years ago. He came to the town that I was living in at the time, Belleville, for an event that we had, which is called Just a Party, and he was there, sitting down, talking to everybody like a regular guy, taking pictures with everybody. Really nice, very, very hospitable, very kind. He was very soft spoken. I really enjoyed meeting him. That was about 5 years ago. Really nice guy, But like I said, I think he's a very good actor. He's not very tall. He's not very tall, but not that makes a difference. I think he was great in what's the movies? Home Alone. I think he was great with Rodney Dangerfield in Easy Money. Those were two good movies that he was in. They're really funny. So I would say he's a very good actor. Al Pacino's an excellent actor. And Robert De Niro is a very good actor too. I don't care for Robert De Niro's political views, but you can't take it away from him. He's a very good actor. He was excellent in Goodfellas. Just his facial expressions alone, when he's at the bar and he makes that facial expression with a cigarette in his mouth, that is a classic photo. That's a typical Newark, New Jersey guy who was involved in the mob's expression. Back in the day now, I'm talking back like in the 60s and earlier, right? Hi, Teresa. How are you, hon? Good to see you. Always thank you for stopping by and saying hello. I always appreciate that. You're such a sweetie. But getting back to De Niro, he's another excellent actor. I just don't agree with his political views. He is a bit of an asshole. Now, some of you may agree with me, some of you not agree with me. He is a bit of an asshole and can be an asshole. But he's a very good actor. He's what you call a character actor. And so is Joe Pesci. They're both character actors. They do their jobs well. I know you can't see me because I have the Real Talk with Ralph up. Do you really want to see me, Nancy? Okay. There I am. But you can't take it away from De Niro and Pesci. They're very good actors. What happened? Oh, there it goes. Pacino, another good actor. Another excellent actor. But they're all good actors. I don't know. Actors are under the impression because they have a high celebrity status that their opinions on the political views will make a difference in the world, which in actuality, I believe that, to me, they don't. To me, they don't mean anything to me. They may mean something to other people. If De Niro says he doesn't like Donald Trump and you have Donald Trump, you have people who don't like Donald Trump, then they're going to like De Niro, because he made that statement because of his celebrity status. I think it's ridiculous that you have to go on the award shows and start tossing around all these political views. That's not what the Grammys are for. That's not what the Oscars are for. Who gives a shit about your fucking political views? Excuse my language. You're not there for that. You're there to get an award, or it's the Grammy show, or it's the Oscar show. Who gives a shit? And that's why a lot of people don't tune into these shows anymore, because these celebrities are voicing their own opinion about something that has nothing to do with the Grammys or the Oscars. Really, that's the bottom line. And it really annoys the shit out of me. So I don't even bother watching the Oscars or Grammys. You know, 'cause that's the way they think. Because I'm a celebrity, I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm on a show. It's gotten so bad that a lot of people don't even tune into that anymore. You wouldn't see that years ago. You wouldn't see that. Listen, that's why I don't discuss politics, and probably never will, because it's a very debatable topic, just like religion is. It's very debatable. It's everybody has different views, and because if one person doesn't agree with that person's views, then it can get out of hand. I've seen friendships get ruined over that, and people not talking to one another because of that, because of this. So, it's ridiculous. Everybody has their own opinion, their own way of thinking, and who's to say who's right and wrong? You can always agree to disagree. That's why I stay away from politics and I stay away from religion. Two very controversial topics. Yeah, De Niro's a clown. I agree with you. Some people may not agree with me. He is a clown. I don't like his personality. I already mentioned I voiced my opinion about it. That's my opinion, though. So don't not like me because of my opinion. That's just my opinion. You may disagree with me. I think he's an asshole. Personally, I think he's a great actor. Can't take that away from him. But as an individual, I think he's an asshole. I think Joe Pesci's a great guy and a great actor. Joe Pesci does not act like an asshole. He doesn't act like De Niro. I like Al Pacino. Al Pacino doesn't get involved. To me, Al Pacino is not an asshole. Al Pacino's a right guy, and he's a great actor. These celebrities, they forget where they came from. They get to have this high status, and they think, who the frig I am now? I'm Robert De Niro. You put your pants on, pal, just the way I do. If I ever met De Niro, I would tell him look, pal, you put your pants on the same way that I do. All right. You may be well known because of publicity and the media and all that stuff and the movies you make, but you put your fucking pants on the same way that I do. You're no different than I am. You may make more money than I do and live in a nicer house or a mansion and have more cars and are well off, but you put your pants on the same way that I do. You're no better than me. That's what they forget. They forget where they come from. And they get these big heads, They get these big heads like they're untouchable, and they think who the hell they are. You know what? I was never a person to be starstruck. I've met many celebrities in the last 30 years, and I've talked to many celebrities. And that's the truth. And I approach them the way I would approach you on the street. I talk to them just the way I'm talking to you, in a normal conversation. I'm not starstruck. And believe you me, they appreciate that even more so. They really do. They like when you talk to them as if it's one-on-one and you're talking to them on their level and not on a celebrity level. I'll give you I went up to Morgan Fairchild. Morgan Fairchild is beautiful. She was gorgeous when she was younger. I went up to Morgan Fairchild and said, "Hi, Morgan. How are you?" "Fine." I said, "I got to tell you something." I says, you've been around a long time, and you look absolutely great. You look absolutely great. The movies that I've seen in you, and I started talking about her movies. So I was having a normal conversation with her, not treating her like this big celebrity star, And that's just one example, out of the hundreds that I met. I can tell you who the jerks are that I met. But you have to, some people are starstruck, but me, and I know that I think Tommy had mentioned it also, that he's not starstruck either. They're human beings. They're human beings. Yes, they're well known because of the publicity and the movies that they made, and some of them, him or her, are great actors and actresses. But they, like I said, they put their dress and pants on the same way as we do. They go to the bathroom the same way that we do. They eat the same way that. Well, I don't know about eating. That's something different. But people can pick up on. The ones that I met have very few have had attitudes. I'll tell you who has attitudes. May she rest in peace. Penny Marshall had an attitude. Leave It to Beaver. What the hell's his name? Leave It to Beaver. Oh my God, not Tony Dow. Tony Dow was great. What the hell was his name? I got a block now. Help me out, guys. Leave It to Beaver. Oh my God, I can't think of it. The Beef. He had an attitude. Stella Stevens had an attitude. June Lockhart had an attitude. Who else? I'm trying to think. That's all I can remember right now. Not Bob Denver. He played Beef. He played the Beef. What the hell is his name? Tony Dow. Jerry Mathers. That's his name. What an attitude. Holy shit. And Tony Dow was really, really nice. Really, and may he rest in peace. Tony Dow was really, really nice. But those are the ones that I could think of off the top of my head who have attitudes. Think their shit don't stink. I'm trying to think if there's any more. Tony Danza was very good. Tony Danza was really nice. Really, really down to earth guy. Really funny. I'm trying to think who else who had an attitude. I'm sure it'll come to me if I think, but not very many. And they really can't afford to have attitudes because a lot of them are not in the public eye anymore. So these are actors and actresses that are not in the public eye as much as they used to be years ago. So it would be to a disadvantage to them if they were, in fact, having attitudes. Because they're not as popular. They're still popular, but they're not as popular as they were. And that's just the way it is. But for the most part, not to beat it dead, not to talk a dog off a meat wagon or come up for air, the majority of them were very, very nice. And I'll be seeing a lot of them in next month, as a matter of fact. I have to find out who's going to be where, and I'll be seeing a lot of them next month. And as a matter of fact, what I was thinking about doing was actually interviewing some of them for the show. Because I have no qualms of going up to them and telling them who I am and what I'm doing and if they'd like to be on. They either have the option of saying yes or no. Of course, none of them are going to hear they're going to know what the watch show is, but I'll fill them in. So I may consider doing that. And you'll find that most of them are very cooperative. Most of them are very cooperative. So, all right, guys, let me just make sure that yeah, John, you're right. Like I said, I've met many celebrities, and there's only a handful of them that weren't, that had an air about them. And geez, you guys remember Dark Shadows? Dark Shadows in the 60s? I met the whole cast. The only one I didn't meet was Jonathan Frid because he passed away. There, Laura Parkin, who played Angelique. Oh my God, she's beautiful. And I walked up to her and I said, Laura, I said, I got to tell you something. Just like this, I said to her. I walked up to her and I said to Laura Parker, I said, Laura, I says, I got to tell you something that I had a really big crush on you when I was a kid. It's because you did? I said, yeah. I said, I just sat in front of the TV mesmerized when you were playing Angelique in Dark Shadows. She goes, oh, that's so sweet. She had these big green, beautiful eyes and this big smile, and she was so beautiful. She was very sweet. So, I met the cast of Dark Shadows and the cast of Welcome Back, Kotter, except for John Travolta. He wasn't there. So I met, like I said, I'm not trying to brag, but I did meet a lot of celebrities. Linda Blair was very nice. I met her. Frank Gorshin of the original Riddler from Batman. I walked up to Frank Gorshin. I said, Frank, I got to tell you something. And this is just the way I approached him, and the tone and everything. I said, Frank, I got to tell you something. I said, I waited 30 years to meet you. He looks at me and he goes, what the fuck took you so long? That's what he said to me. I said, well, I didn't know where you were. I said, I didn't know where you were. How can I wait to meet you if I didn't know where you were? I said, you're all the way out in California, so I'm here in Jersey. He was a trip. May he rest in peace. He was funny. And George Kennedy. I walked up to George Kennedy. I said to him, I said, George, how you doing? He goes, I'm tired. He was sitting down when I went up to him. He goes, I'm tired. I said, you're tired because you got a long career of movies. I'm telling you, you wouldn't know the things that I say to him. Who else did I meet? Robert Vaughn, the man from Uncle. Really nice guy, nice guy. So I mean, you talk to them like they're everyday people. You know what I'm saying? But I'll be going back in April, so I'm sure I'm going to be seeing a lot of celebrities. I don't know who's on the roster. I have to look. As a matter of fact, they'll probably start getting the roster going now. But I usually go twice a year, usually in October and in April. And I didn't go this October, so I missed out. I've been going for the last 30 years. So, as a matter of fact, the guy who runs these things, I had a movie poster collection at one time, and I sold half of my movie poster collection to him because he's a collector. So he knows me well. But, anyway, so much for the celebrities, right? So we talked about celebrities, we talked about trolls, we talked about, what else did we talk about? Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro. So we talked about a lot of things for somebody that came on at the spur of the moment and had nothing to talk about. I like Gary Sinise, Gerard. He was in, with Tom Hanks, he was in, what do you call it? He was the cripple, wasn't he? Oh, God. Oh man, my mind is going. What the hell's the name of the movie? Where? Oh God! Hold on, Gene. I'll tell you in a minute. What is the name of the movie with Tom Hanks and Gary Sinise? Like Box of Chocolates. Oh God. My mind is going. Holy shit. What the hell is the name of that movie? Thank you. Thank you, Gianni. Forrest Gump. Oh my God. That was a good movie. And I liked Gary Sinise in that movie. He played a very good part. My God, my mind is going. Gina, getting back to you. It's the Chiller Theater Convention, which is held twice a year in October and in April. You can go online, Google Chiller Theater Convention. And theater is spelled, I think they spell it TH. They spell it differently. Instead of spelling it with ER, they spell it with RE at the end. But you can Google either one of those and it'll come up. And then they have the roster of who's going to be attending there. They have it twice a year. Usually it's the last weekend in April and the last weekend in October. They have it twice a year. And it's held in Parsippany, New Jersey. They used to have it down in Secaucus, But now they moved it to Parsippany for the last, I think it's 10 years. And it's great. I mean, I think it's $30 to get in, and then that's it. It has increased in price, through the years, but I have a VIP pass to get in there because, like I said, I sold Kevin half of my movie poster collection, and he bought the rights. Chiller Theater was a show that used to be shown back in the day in the 60s on Channel 11. I think it was on at midnight, and they used to show all horror movies. So Kevin, who is the owner and runs these shows, bought the rights to that name, and it's called the Chiller Theater Convention. He bought the rights to that. He's had those rights for the last 30 years. But that's a little history about that. There's no background. There's no cat anymore, Gianni. The cat is long gone. There's no cat in my apartment here. You see no cat. The cat is long gone. The cat, when I had it, I didn't even know that I had a cat in the background, and the cat didn't even move. I didn't even realize. See, the listeners are more prone to zooming in on that than I was. So that cat is long gone. That is no longer. I guess I'll never live that down. That cat, and what's the other thing? Something else. Something else. But yeah, so we talked about a lot of things. Very interesting show for a show that didn't really have a topic. Really. We talked about what the hell did we talk about? I'm losing my mind, I'm telling you. I'm hanging around with the wrong content creators. I'm getting just as wacky as they are. I'm telling you, they're saying that they're sane. They're not sane. None of them are sane. None of them. Maybe Anthony, maybe a little bit. But forget about Todd Father and Dindu and Stiggs. They're all whacked out. And I'm getting wacky too. Do better. How are you? Theo, how are you? Thank you for coming in. Always a pleasure to see you. Love your show. I love the content that you cover. Oh my God. Anybody that hasn't checked out Theo's show, the Do Better podcast, Theo has a show usually around 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. He's got a good show. He has some very interesting topics, let me tell you. Some very interesting people on there. But, Theo has a great announcer's voice. A great radio announcer's voice. Yeah. So I hope you got that microphone. It's doing very, very well. Gianni, my actual name is Ralph. I was named after my grandfather because years ago, my grandfather's name was Ralph. And the Italian custom was that the firstborn in the family that was a boy was to be named after the father's father. So my father named me after his father because my father's name is Vincent. So that's Ralph is my real name. And Mucci is not my real last name. When my grandfather came over from Italy, my real last name is Mucciello. So to make it easier, my name was cut down to Mucci. I mean, that's what they did when they came off the boat to Ellis Island. So that is my real last name was Mucciello, which I kind of like better than Mucci, but still, what are you gonna do? Mike John, how are you, buddy? No one's ever called me Raphael. Well, some people do. My nickname is actually Mooch. That's my nickname from Newark, for back in the day. Mooch is short for Moochie. It's funny because if you ever seen the movie The Blob with Steve McQueen, there was a character, one of his friends, whose nickname is Mooch. He spells it Mooch, which was my nickname. You know, but a lot of people from back in the day that know me still call me Mooch for short. But when somebody calls me Mooch, then you know that they're from back in the day. Not many people know that. I mean, I did not name my firstborn Ralph. I didn't want to. So, no, Moochie, Mucci, not Gucci, Benny, Moochie. Like Gucci, but Moochie. I'm Italian American. I was born here in the United States. Born in Newark. Grew up in Newark. Grew up on the streets of Newark. And at that time, it was, I saw a lot of shit. Things that Tommy Stiggs could never see or never saw, because I'm a little bit before his time. So things were a little bit different back then in the 60s and the early 70s. So there was a social club at that time on every corner in Newark where I grew up, and the guys would hang outside. I may have mentioned this. I grew up in a very Italian neighborhood where it was 97% Italian, and maybe the other 3% were Irish and German. But it was basically all Italian. And there was a social club on every corner, and the guys would hang out there. They knew everybody in the neighborhood. We all knew them as a little kid. They all treated us little kids really nice. Giving us candy for one ice cream. They treated us like gold, the kids, and they knew who everybody was in the neighborhood, and everybody in the neighborhood knew who they were. But as a little kid growing up, you would see these guys hanging outside, just like in The Sopranos, just like in Satriale's, where they would sit outside with the chairs turned around in the other direction, and just hanging outside, all dressed up to the nines, with Italian knits and their names monogrammed on their names put on the Italian knit or the cuffs, dressed really sharp in Cadillacs, just like diamond rings, never bothered anybody in the neighborhood, looked out for everybody in the neighborhood. Like I said, everybody knew in the neighborhood who they were, and they knew everybody, and everybody respected them, and they respected everybody else. They never bothered anybody. Of course, as you get older, and as I got older, you start to come to realization, what did these guys do? They're always outside, hanging outside. Did these guys work? And then you put bits and pieces together as to what they're involved in. They weren't murderers. They were your basic bookmakers and runners, and people like that. But they watched out for the women in the neighborhood. They watched out for everybody in the neighborhood. They made sure that everything was on the up and up. And, that's the kind of neighborhood that I grew up in on the avenue. And like I said, as you get older, you start to realize, what these guys are doing. You wonder, don't these guys ever work? I mean, they were on every corner. And then when my dad retired, my dad would hang in one of the social clubs. So I would go see my dad. And they'd be in there. Now, my dad was never involved. He just knew everybody from the neighborhood. So they welcomed it in. So my dad would be in there, and then they would be like Tommy always describes, in the social club, it was a social club environment. Who'd be playing cards at the table? Who'd be watching TV? Who'd be cooking? You always had a guy that cooked. 1 minute, the card table would be laughing, and then the guys in the back would be cursing one another. So anything could happen. Not that it ever got violent, but it was just like, because I was in the social club, I was with them. Hey, Ralphie, come on in, because I knew my dad was there, and they'd be sitting at the table playing cards. Hey, Ralphie, how you doing? cigars hanging out of her mouth, the cigarettes, the smoke filled up. This guy's cooking in the back, making gravy. It's like, so it was definitely a social club environment. It's something that you never forget. And back in the day, back then, it was the kind of attitude where, growing up, guys from Newark, at that time that I grew up with, we didn't put up with any shit. Nobody put up with any nonsense. You did something out of line, you got suckered right out. I mean, suckered means you got hit in the face. That's the word means, suckered. You got hit in the face. You got hit right out if you did something wrong. There was no questions asked. There was no knives, no guns, none of that. You did something wrong, you got laid out because you really deserved it. You really had to do something wrong to have that happen to you. So it was a no-nonsense kind of environment. Nobody put up with any shit. And when you grow up in that environment, not that you're a tough guy or a hard guy, and you're very aware of your surroundings. Guys from Newark, women from Newark are very aware of the surroundings that grew up in that time period. It's just something that we're in tune to. You're very aware of your environment, and you don't put up nonsense. So when you grow up in that environment, you carry that over with you in your adulthood. So that's why a lot of my ways is, like I say, I don't put up any nonsense, because that's the kind of environment that I grew up with. Not that I'm a hard guy or a tough guy. It's just where I come from. I'm respectful. I respect everybody. I'm not nasty. I don't, and I expect to be respected back. I could walk around being an asshole, but that's just not me. It doesn't cost anything to be nice, and it costs everything to be nasty. But don't think you could take advantage of me, because don't judge a book by its cover. Never judge a book by its cover, because you don't know. So, but enough about me. Enough about me. Yeah, you're right. And you just don't know when others don't seem to. It's funny, because a lot of times one time I'll give you an example. I was all the way down at the tip of New Jersey in Cape May. The very tip of New Jersey, right? And then from there, the tip, you go to Maryland. Okay? Well, I was down in Cape May on vacation. And I walked up to I went to get a steak sandwich in Cape May. And I ordered the steak sandwich, and I started talking to the guy behind the counter. I got one sentence out, and the guy said to me, "You're from up north. You're from Newark, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "How'd you know?" He says, "I could just tell. I could tell by your mannerisms and your character and the way you carry yourself." So there's an expression that is said that you can take the kid out of Newark, New Jersey, but you can't take the Newark, New Jersey out of the kid. And that holds very true. And they say that sometimes when somebody who grew up in Newark, New Jersey gets angry, they say the Newark is coming out of him. And it does. But again, not that I'm a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy, but I just, that's just the environment that I grew up in. Not that it was a bad environment, but that's just the way it was back in the day. You didn't put up any nonsense. Nobody put up any nonsense. And the other thing too is, if you had a bunch of friends, and I think I mentioned this once before, if you had a bunch of friends and your friends had beautiful sisters, which my friends did, you were not allowed to date them. You were not allowed to date them. You were not allowed to ask them out, mess around with them. But what you did have to do is you had to look out for them. That was the way of the street back then, and the way of respect. And damn, my friends had some beautiful girlfriends. Beautiful, not girlfriends, beautiful sisters rather. But it was off limits, and that was one of the things of that you had to abide by. You had to look out for them and watch out who they were dating. They were dating people outside of our circle, but you had to watch out. You had to check the guy out, make sure that he didn't mess around with her, he didn't do it. So That's the way it was. Of course, that would never be today, but that's the way it was back then. Unfortunate for us, you know. And we talked it over with our friend, John. Geez, God, Maria's so pretty. God, Ralph, don't even think about it. Okay, all right, don't even think. And that was the end of it. That was the end of it. If you wanted your ass kicked, I mean, that was a good way of getting your ass kicked. And there was no fooling around. You got your ass kicked, man. You follow the rules, So, and then of course, hanging on the Avenue as a, back then it was a much different time. I was on the Avenue at 13 years old because times were different. Nobody bothered us. Nobody thought about getting kidnapped or getting shot or getting knifed or anything like that. I was on the Avenue at 13 years old. Hanging out with the guys. We used to get dressed up just to hang out on the Avenue. Different time. And we'd watch the cars go by with the girls, we were all dressed up and, the girls would stop and pull over and we'd talk to them, get in their car, whatever. Different time. It was a great era. The late 60s, early 70s, great era. To have grown up where I grew up. That's why a lot of these, a lot of talent has come out of Newark, New Jersey. And a lot of mannerisms that, like I said earlier, that Joe Pesci incorporates in his characters is from Newark and Belleville. Because Newark and Belleville were very similar. At that time that I grew up, no, they were not that similar. They only got similar as the years went into the 70s, the late 70s. But you could never compare Belleville to Newark back in the day that I grew up in. Where Tommy also, for a short period of time, grew up in. But it was a much different time back then. Much different time. That would never happen today, never. So now that we've come up for air, I've been on for quite a while. Oh yeah, Gianni. Yeah. We didn't have technology back then that we have today. We had no cell phones. There was 11 channels on TV. There were no computers. There was no internet. You went out of the house and in the summertime, you'd be out of the house at 9 o'clock in the morning. You didn't go home until it was time for dinner with no contact with your mother and father or parents. Nothing. We roamed the streets at 13 years old on summer vacation. Nobody bothered us. We did things to amuse ourselves. We played hide and go seek. We played with tops. We played with yo-yos. These kids don't play with that today. We used our imaginations. We used to sit on the stoop at night when it was dark and tell ghost stories to amuse ourselves. Innocent things. We never hurt anybody. We were mischievous kids, but we never hurt anybody. We never did anything serious. But except back for one thing, I gotta say, is that back in the day, they had no security in the department stores. There was no cameras. There was no security. There was nothing. None of those gates that you walk through that go off, beep, beep, beep. So one time, I was a kid. I must have been about maybe 13, 14. We went to one of the department stores. And because of all the things that I just mentioned, what I did was I took 2 pairs of pants into the dressing room with me. Took my pants off that I was wearing, put one of those pair of pants on, and then put the pair of pants back over it that I was wearing and walked out. That's how easy it was to steal back then. And of course, I was a kid. As a kid, you don't think of these things. I'm saying that they don't bother you. You don't think that you're doing something wrong. And then you realize later on that you did something wrong. But that's how easy it was to shoplift back then. Kids would go in, they would try on a pair of sneakers, and they would walk out with the good pair of sneakers and leave the old pair of sneakers behind. Because again, there was no cameras back then, no security, no things that you walk through, nothing. There was nothing. So, not that I'm saying, but I was a kid, and you do stupid things, and something like that today, of course, I wouldn't do. But people years ago, they never would think about robbing the poor box in church. The poor box has been robbed in churches. That was something that never even crossed our mind. So, as a kid, we did mischievous things. And, you look back at it now and you laugh about it and say, Jesus, I can't believe I ever did that. But you were a kid. Then you realize later on that what you did was wrong. And, I think I did that once in my lifetime. Once. That was the only thing I ever did. And that was the only thing that, that I ever did, really. I never took anything else. I never stole. But, I don't even remember why I did that. I think I needed a pair of pants. I don't remember why. It was so many years ago. But yeah, today you could never do that. There's cameras all over the place. Soon there'll be cameras in bathrooms. Oh my God. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine cameras in bathrooms? That'll never happen. But you got to watch because there's cameras everywhere. Why take a chance today shoplifting? Not saying anybody of us did that, but why take a chance shoplifting and you're going to get caught? I don't know, Johnny, if we had better heads on our shoulders. We just, it was a different time. It was a different time back then. Life was so simple back then. There was a lot of respect. There was a lot of respect was, we never ever thought about answering a cop back or telling a cop to go fuck themselves because the cop would kick your ass and then you'd go home and then you'd get your ass kicked from your father. And the same thing applied when you were in school. If you did something wrong, because I went to Catholic school, if you did something wrong, parents agreed with the nuns or the teachers most of the time because you did something wrong. But a couple times, the nuns and the teachers were wrong. But there was a respect thing back then, You never would tell a nun to go fuck herself. Never in a million years, Like I said, it was a thing of respect. You never answered your parents back. God forbid you answered your parents back. All your mother or father or your father had to do was just give you a look and you knew right away to stop what you're doing. It was totally different. You listened to your parents. If your parents told you to do something, you listened to them and you did what they told you to do. Well, you got punished. You didn't go out. You weren't going out. You didn't do what I said, you're not going out. So it was a stricter time. We didn't get hit. Well, I had a few maybe shoes thrown at me and maybe the wooden spoon, but it was like it was a thing of respect. That's what it was. And there's no respect today with these kids. A lot of these kids, the way they talk to cops, the way they talk to teachers, the way they talk to their parents, unbelievable. That too, Adam. That too. You never thought a man with a wig would be allowed to go into a girl's bathroom. You never know, Ralph. We may have cameras in the bathroom one day. Who knows? There's no cross-gender or anything like that. Look at the big deal that they made about the song Baby It's Cold Outside 2 years ago or 3 years ago. That song has been around for over 40-something years. They were making a big stink about that song. They pick on the most ridiculous things. It's not the older generation, us. It's the younger generation that's doing these things. The stupid asses. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, I'm going to end this show now. It was a good show. It was a good show. Talked about a lot of things for a show that had really no topic. I enjoyed all your company, as usual. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Gina, it's a pleasure. I'm happy that you're actually in my show right now. Oh, gee, I wouldn't say I was wild. I would say that, if I was to look back and define myself how I was back then, I would say that I was a bit mischievous to a certain degree. Not bad. Never hurt anybody. Didn't do anything to hurt anybody. But just a bit mischievous, as a boy. Doing typical things that a little kid does or did back then for that time period. I think I told this story and I got to one mischief night. I must have been I was 13 years old and it was mischief night. It was 10 of us. And of course, ShopRite back then would not sell any eggs. ShopRite is a supermarket in our areas. Would not sell any eggs on mischief night or mischief day to any kids because they knew what they were going to do. Knew what we were going to do with the eggs. So we would get somebody older to go in and buy the eggs for us. So there was 10 of us and we had a whole bunch of eggs on mischief night. Well, there was a bar on the corner of where I lived. And don't ask me who. One of the kids got an idea. Let's open up the door and bomb the patrons in the bar. Now, in the bar, in the middle of the bar, was a piano player. Right in the middle of the bar, a black fellow playing the piano real nice. And the bar was loaded with patrons. So what did we do? One kid held the door open, and 9 of us just threw about 60, 70 eggs all into the bar at the patrons. Closed the door, and we ran. We were so hysterical laughing that that when you laugh so hard that you can't run. Okay, you can't run when you're laughing hysterically. But none of us got caught. But we were hysterical. Now, of course, looking back at that, right? That's something that I would never do today or anybody. Well, I wouldn't do that. But that's one of the mischievous things that we did. And all you heard in the bar was when the door was closed was screaming and yelling. And the piano player stopped playing, and all you heard was screaming and yelling. So that's just one mischievous thing that we did, that I did back then. And the bar was right in the corner of my street where I lived, and my father would go in there once in a while. So, you do crazy things when you're a kid because you don't think, you don't think of there being any consequences, and you just don't think because you're not mature enough to rationalize anything. But we laughed so hard because we ran, and we were just all of us were hysterical. We never got caught. None of us ever got caught. So, and every time I pass that bar when I go into Newark, it's still there. This had to be about 1960. I'm going to say 1968. So how many years ago was that? Every time I pass that bar, I laugh. And I think of that night. I think of that night. And I laugh. And I say, God, the things that we did, So, yeah, I mean, that's just one crazy, mischievous thing that we did. But we never really hurt anybody. We didn't walk around with knives or guns or anything back then. Everything was done with fists. We never thought about going into school and killing students, anything like that, or going into a shopping mall and shooting people down. Those things were never even thought of. Different time. And it's sad because of the things that have happened. But that's what happens when, with time. Yeah, they were great memories, Gianni. Great memories. I wouldn't give them up for the world. I mean, there's many other things that we did too. Back then in the day, there used to be what they call a milk machine on some of the corners. A milk machine was a machine that held quarts of milk and half gallons. Okay, and you put the money in, and you either buy a half gallon or a quart. They were called milk machines because they had milk. So, and they were on a lot of street corners, you know. So what we would do is we would kick the milk machine where you put the coins in, and if you kicked it hard enough and enough times, the change would start to come out of the milk machine that people put in. So that was another mischievous thing that we did. So not only were we mischievous, but we made money. You know, the things that we did, you know, we used to kick the machine hard enough and a couple of times, and the money would start to come out like a slot machine. That one particular milk machine on the corner 2 blocks down from where I lived had so many dents in it from kids kicking it, you know, because word gets around, hey, if you kick this machine, you know, you're going to get money out of it. You know, it's just mischievous things. Yeah, I shake it down milk machine. The other thing is the gumball machines. The gumball machine times back in the day used to be outside grocery stores. So when nobody was looking, we would shake the shit out of the gumball machines, and the gumball machines would start to, you know, the gumballs would start to come out without paying for them. You know, and back then you would get a prize and everything for a penny. You know, the little round, you know what bubblegum machines are. They hold the bubblegum that you chew. And we would shake the shit out of them, and the bubblegum would start to come out, and sometimes the prizes would come out. So, you know, we did all mischievous things. But it was a fun time. It was a fun time. But nothing ever bad. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate your support, you coming in. It was a good show. I had fun. I talked about a lot of things on a topic that I didn't even have. So don't forget that tomorrow, well, Todd Father is on. I don't know if he's doing a show in the morning. He does a very early show. So I know a lot of you don't catch it because of different time zones or whatever. Your lives are busy. But he does a show between 5 and 5:30. And of course, you got Tommy coming on at 7 o'clock. And then Dino at 2:30. And Anthony is doing a show tomorrow on wine tasting, which you might want to catch. I think Tommy and I are going to be on the panel. I'm not sure about Tommy and whoever else is going to be on. So that's it. So thank you for joining me. It was an enjoyable show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A couple laughs. And I just want to make sure that I said hello to everybody. I don't want to admit to anybody. Oh, Emmanuel, I'm sorry. Did I say hello to you, Emmanuel? I'm just seeing you now. Thanks for stopping by, Emmanuel. Always a pleasure. Just making sure that I said hello to everybody. Emmanuel, I agree with you. Oh, cable is, God. Can you imagine that? Whoever thought that we'd be paying for TV? We'd be paying for air? We'd be paying for water? Those things were unheard of in my time. Back in the day, you know, those unbelievable. We had 11 channels back in the day. Today we got over 1,000 channels. We had channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. If you're in the New York area, what's that? That's 7 channels. Oh, and then don't forget one channel on UHF, which doesn't even exist, which was like channel 44. So that's what we had. That's what we had. Totally different. Totally different. Absolutely, Gina. I agree with your kids will not understand. Hi, Bella Rose. Thank you for coming in. Nice to see you. Bella Rose in California. I get the impression, Bella, that you don't like California. I was out in LA a couple of years ago. I went out there, I think it was, let me think what year it was, 2006, was out on Rodeo Drive. I had a friend who lived out in California that I went to visit. He was a filmmaker, and I liked California. I liked it. Rodeo Drive was nice. But that's the experience that I had when I was out in California. LA is a beautiful place. Rodeo Drive is very nice too. I don't think I'd want to live there though. Stiggs, your grandfather's club on Ridge Street. Well, that's where my house was. If you're watching, Tommy, my house was on Ridge Street. So I'm trying to think of what club you're talking about. There was a couple of them. I bet you I know. I bet you. The club on Ridge Street. Let me think. You're gonna talk about that, Tommy. That's funny. What a small world. Because that's where my house was, on Ridge Street. I'm just going down the chat real quick. Arms C. Oh man. Cologio. Such a good movie. But you know what he turned out to be in real life, not very good. You know, I love the story that Tommy tells about him. What's in your budget? He puts in my budget. Go scratch your ears. What's in my budget? That's what's in my budget. No, Benny, I've never been to Arthur Avenue in the Bronx. I've been to Bronx. But I've never been on Arthur Avenue. You know, it's funny because Brooklyn and Newark were very similar. Very, very similar back in the day. I'm just going down the chat very quickly, make sure I haven't missed anybody. Yeah. So, in getting back to what I mentioned earlier, at the beginning of the show about, talking about things that are a downer. I'll use the word downer. I didn't realize that the things that were brought out, that Tommy brought out, I wasn't looking at it in those terms. So like I said earlier, sometimes you need somebody to comment on it and further elaborate on it to make you realize things if you have an open mind. And that happen to be right. Because people do need to talk about certain things sometimes with strangers, to vent, to let it out, And I would never turn anybody down on my show that had something something to say in those terms. That'd be kind of mean, and like I said, you always want to, and I've always said that, that I'm always open for suggestions with my listeners, and keep an open mind. So sometimes you miss things that other people can bring out, such as the case as Tommy did. And like I said, listen, I don't have, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh my God. You guys are making me crazy. Unbelievable. I'm losing my mind here. I got to stop hanging with you guys. I was sane when I first came on YouTube. I'm not so sure I'm sane anymore. What was I saying? That there's times that, that people do need to talk about certain things. You don't want to cut them off. And it's a part of life, like I said earlier. And, something you can't escape. But I would never do that. I would never do that to anybody. But like I said, listen, I'm always open for suggestions. And if I do something wrong, because I'm only human, if I say something or make a comment or a statement that somebody doesn't agree with, feel free to express your opinion as to why you agree with me or disagree, and or bring up a comment such as the case that Tommy did that made me see something that I wasn't thinking of, which is very good, and that's communication. That's what it's all about. People today, a lot of people do not communicate the way they should be, or they don't communicate at all. And you're not going to know anything if you don't communicate, right? And like I said, I make mistakes. So if I say anything that's you don't agree with, and you want to voice your opinion, that's fine. I'll never stop you from voicing your opinion, because everybody is different, and we can always agree to disagree. I don't make comments or statements unless I'm not talking about something else now. I don't make comments or statements about anything unless I'm able to back it up with concrete proof, facts, or evidence. Because people are going to come back to me and say, well, Ralph, how do you know this? Where did you get that from? You know what I'm saying? And I have to be able to back that up. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot make a comment or a statement without having some kind of evidence to prove what you're making a statement or comment on. Because people are going to say, well, where'd you hear that from? And what are you going to do? Stand there like this, and not have an answer? No, you can't do that. That's something totally different, though. Something totally different. But, okay, that was a serious note. So, a lot of good points tonight. A lot of good points. And like I said, look, man, all the wine guilds here. And I dropped the link, and nobody came on tonight. I always say you want to drop a link, you're more than welcome to come on, but nobody came on, so that's all right. I mentioned that Anthony's got a show tomorrow night. Don't forget, 7 o'clock. Anthony, I'm on the panel. Send me a cash app for the wine. All right? I'm broke. Send me a cash app for the wine, and send me compensation for being on the panel. All right? Because now I have celebrity status on YouTube because I have 62 or 82 trolls. So I'm not appearing on anybody's show unless I'm compensated for it. All right? Oh my God, I'm like kidding. I got to get together with you, Anthony, because I got to find out if it's either white wine or red wine. So you got to let me know, because I got to get it tomorrow. I'll go to Bottle King. So if you're watching or you want to text me, let me know. I know I've been saying goodbye for the last 30 minutes. I know. I don't normally do that. You're right, though. Yes, tomorrow night, Anthony's show, Wine Guild, wine tasting test. It was fun. The shows are fun. The shows are fun. We have a good time. We do. And you get to drink, too. You're at the comfort of your home, having a couple of glasses, and you're relaxing, and you're watching a good show. And he gives a little history about the wine before he goes into it, a little history about the wine. And it's nice. He does a little video, short video, not a long video, to give a history, and then he goes into a show. It's really nice. And then 15 minutes of the show, 20 minutes of the show is serious. And then we get into some little shenanigans and fooling around and kidding around. But anyway, Anthony, it's red, great. Oh, great. Okay, I'll get it tomorrow. I'll go to Bottle King. Said it's $10 a bottle. That's jeez. Can you send me a cash app? Well, I get it. All right, guys. This is finally it. Thank you so much for joining me. Really, it was good. Spur of the moment show. I had some free time. I figured jump on. Don't forget, if you're up early in the morning, you want to catch Todd Father's show. He's in the morning. Then you got Tommy. I'll do my car lives, and then you got Dingo at 2:30. At 7 o'clock is Anthony. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys all soon. All right. Bye bye now. Have a good night. Stay safe. Stay well.